You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
This is a special episode for us. It's something which over the past few months we've kind of had a discussion about, getting some of our older episodes onto YouTube. And we felt like even if we don't do all of them, this one had to go up on YouTube, given that it's a year to the day that this happened, a year to the day that we released our first player interview, something which, I look back on and just go, I can't believe this actually happened. And listening back to it, even like the way it's introduced, me saying, you had met a few players and I didn't believe you. And then I got a phone call saying, Kadeem, get ready. We've got one. Myles Gaskin, Myles Gaskin episode. It's monumental for us. It's amazing.
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. And just like Kadeem said, it's a special episode today, an episode that no one thought was coming out. It's 1 year to the day where friend of the podcast, 40 Acres and a Hellcat, Myles Gaskin, came on the Go Time Dolphins. He was the first player that we ever interviewed, and this is the year anniversary. So our first season, it was all audio, no video. Me and Kadeem just said, let's just record our conversations, and we turned it into a podcast. Our second season, we ended up going to YouTube. We got video up now, and we don't have all of our episodes up on YouTube, but like Kadeem alluded to, this has to go back up on YouTube. So this is like an appreciation episode too. It was a milestone. When me and Kadeem decided to start this podcast, I told him, bro, I was out of town. I was in Iowa. And I'm like, man, when I get back home, I live in South Florida. When I get back home, I'm pretty sure I'll run into football players and we could see if we could get them on the podcast. I want to be very clear. I probably ran into 2 football players ever, like my whole life in South Florida. It's not something that happens all the time. And so when I said that to Kadeem, I believe that we'll run into a couple players. Like, yeah, I'll probably run into a couple. I'll keep my eye out for them now. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll ask them, hey, I got a podcast, and to see if someone gets on. To see it coming to fruition, I'll never forget how I met Myles Gaskin, bro. Never. So I was at the Air and Sea show. It's the air show now down here in Fort Lauderdale. It's off the beach. It's filled. The beach is just packed. And everyone's just chilling on the beach, and all these jets and planes and, it's an air show. You know what I'm saying? F-15s and all this good stuff, doing tricks and stuff, helicopters. And I was walking, and I was on my way south on the beach. And there's, restaurants with people eating and stuff, and it's kind of off to the distance, probably like 10 feet away from the sidewalk. And I look to the right. I'm like, man, this dude looked familiar. Right. And I kept walking, and I'm like, man, do I know dude from school or something? I couldn't really remember. Like, is he a music artist? Did I make a song with this guy? I can't really remember how. I couldn't remember. So I get to where I'm going, and I'm just thinking, yo, I think that was Myles Gaskin. I'm dead serious. I'm like, yo, I think that was Myles Gaskin. Was it? And then it was in my mind. I was like, all right, whatever. When I walk back, I'll get another look to see if it was him or not. So before I go back, I'm like, man, let me check on IG, right? Because I had him on IG already. And I look on IG, sure enough, I'm like, I think that's him. And I still wasn't sure. So I'm walking back now, and if he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's not. Because I'm like, I'm not sure if it is or not. So I'm walking back, and now he's on my left. I'm like, yeah, I think that's him. So I like flag him down, like, hey, bro. And he's looking at me. And I'm like, does 40 Acres and a Hellcat sound familiar?
And listening back to it, hearing his reaction is like you explain the story and him just going, yo, because you say to him, like, do you ever get noticed? And he's like, no, I don't. And the fact that you added that bit as well, he was like, yeah, this guy knows. And it's that awkward, like, you don't want to come across as crazy and stalkerish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, yeah.
Kadeem, bro, like, listen, so it's not something for me. I had already followed him on IG, and that's how I knew his I guess his bio or headline or whatever they call it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I thought it was pretty dope. So I didn't have to look at his IG to know that that's what it said. I already knew that's what it said because it's just a dope line. So I said, bro, the reason why I said that because I didn't want to say, hey, are you Myles Gaskin? Yeah. And then someone say, like, he's like, bro, what are you talking about? And I'm like, all right, my bad. Hey, enjoy your breakfast, bro. I'm gonna just keep it pushing. So I wanted to kind of talk in code and try to not be as embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, let me try this out. And I just came up with, hey, you ever 40 Acres and a Haircut sound familiar? And the look on his face was almost like a scavenger hunt, and it was like a password you had to say at the door. And he was like, "You got it, you the winner." You feel like, nah.
What's the password? Yeah, you're good.
Like, I'm dead serious. Like, that was the password. So, and he was just, man, he was the first person that I met from this Dolphins team. And I came on the pod because I'm like, bro, how many was he not?
No, he's the second. Because again, if you listen back, you say to him,
I met Austin.
Yeah, you met
Austin.
Jackson. Said,
yeah, right. You're right. So he was the second person I met on a team, and I'm still, even to this day, y'all boys, I'm not used to, oh, can I get a picture? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that was never me. I made music with a ton of artists, ton of famous people, and it was never me to, oh, let me get a picture, let me get an autograph. So I didn't ask him for a picture. I just told him, like, bro, we got a podcast, man, and it'll mean a lot if you come on to this podcast for us. Like, you have no idea. He like, I got you. When? Yeah, it almost like, you want to do it right now? I didn't even tell him that it was via Skype. It was almost like he was willing to go wherever this podcast was going to be shot at, but it was only over the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we don't have video set up. We don't have a studio set up. You don't got to come to the studio. And it was like his willingness it just stood out, man. I'm like, man. So long story short, man, this episode is the Myles Gaskin interview. We wanted to bring it up on YouTube and just to show our appreciation to Myles Gaskin, bro. And everything like that. You want to say anything else, Kadeem, before we go into the video?
Yeah, two things. One, what you said there about him just being like, I got you. Again, when you listen back and, the fans will hear it as well. When you say, you at one point you sounded like you were just lying about meeting these players because they weren't coming on the show. And he's like, I got you. And it's like, again, it's something which, we weren't then. And we're not even now. This, tens of thousands subscriber YouTube channel, all that kind of stuff. But he would like, the fact that he went out of his way to give us, 10, 15 minutes of his time to chat to us. Like, I can genuinely not thank him enough for that, That's the first thing. The second thing, going back and listening to it, and it's something we talk about off air, but the growth of the podcast. So it's like, this isn't, like with the Javon Holland interview where it's, there's the three of us, like we are right now chatting. This was the three of us over, I believe was Skype. We couldn't see each other or anything like that. But at the same time, that 15 minutes, like no one can ever take it away from us. And obviously we've got Javon Holland. Who knows who's going to come on next? Like this is where it began. And again, like very quickly, I remember watching the views go up and up and up, and people would be like, okay, cool. Like, if you're listening to this, friend of the podcast, Myles Gaskin, genuinely, thank you so much.
Hey, shout out to Austin Jackson. Shout out to Robert Hunt. Shout out to Javon Holland. Shout out to Brandon Jones. I met all of those boys in the past calendar year. True story. In the past calendar year, I met all of those boys. All of them are super cool. All of them rock with me in some type of way. Even though all of them haven't come onto the podcast, they all like still respond to text messages. You know what I'm saying? Like we still, like y'all don't owe it to us at all. So the only way we could show our appreciation, bro, shout out to 40 Acres and the Hellcat, friend of the podcast, Myles Gaskin. If you haven't heard the interview, this is the interview. I hope you guys enjoy. Myles Gaskin jersey. Y'all know what time it is.
It may be the off-season for some, but there is no off-season here on Go Time Dolphins. There are expectations in the Dolphins community that make Miami a conversation piece once again. Miami Dolphins running back Myles Gaskin joins the show and gives us his perspective on a few games from 2020, as well as his excitement for the 2021 season. Discussing the depth on the roster, the lengthy 17-game season can easily become something to get excited for, even though we're only in the middle of May. Fins up, Fin fans. Now back to Charlie and Kadeem.
On the last podcast, I called you out. I said that you meeting these players weren't actually real because no one's come and joined us on the podcast. And yet, days later, you shut me up. So, Charlie, man, I apologize. It seems these stories are actually real. So I'm sorry.
Hey, it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I got my boy Kadeem Simmons with me, and I got to tell y'all, we have a guest today on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, hey, we got your Miami Dolphins running back, Myles Gaskin, all gas, no brakes. Myles Gaskin, what's happening, bro?
What's going on with y'all?
Hey, man, give you a backstory real quick. I met you on the beach. I told you I ran into Austin Jackson, and I also told you, yo, we had this podcast, but I got on the last podcast, and I told my co-host, I'm like, bro, people gonna think I'm lying that I'm not meeting these boys because ain't nobody coming on the show.
Nah, man, I got you. You know what it is. When I pulled up on when I was having breakfast, man. That was funny, man.
Charlie, let's eat, man.
Let me ask you something, bro. When I first of all, do you get noticed often? Like, do people recognize who you are often?
Not really. I feel like I'm like a not noticeable dude. You know what I'm saying? I ain't the biggest dude. I'm regular looking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not yet.
So how about this? Like the fact that I recognize you and knew your IG bio, was that like alarming?
That's what being the girl I was with, we kept on talking about that because I ain't never heard that before. He said 40 acres and a Hellcat.
Bruh.
Huh?
Hey, yeah. You looked at me with the squinting eyes like, nah, bro. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Hey, so Dig, I would be real with you. So I had seen you, I walked by, and I'm like, yo, dude look kind of familiar. First thing in my head is, do I know him from school or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he looked kind of familiar. Yeah. And then I kept walking. I'm like, nah, I think that was Myles Gaskin. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because every time I mention you on this show, like I always say 40 acres and a Hellcat, Myles Gaskin, when I do mention you. So like, when I walk by, like, nah, I ain't want to like people sitting around you and stuff. I ain't wanted to look awkward. First, I really wasn't trying to embarrass myself. So I got to like speaking some kind of code. Let me see if this is really. If this ain't him, he not gonna know what I'm talking about, and I can just keep it moving.
Oh,
you feel me?
That's why that was so funny, man. I ain't ever been approached like that, so you sparked my interest. I said, "Who is this dude, man?"
Bruh, that's what's up, man. So, I mean, listen, I got this cousin, right? And then, Philip Lindsay was an undrafted free agent. He came in. He didn't put on for like the undersized running backs and that like that. You had your Darren Sproles, you had your Maurice Jones-Drew and stuff like that. But Philip Lindsay went undrafted, and he kind of like reminded people that little running backs can be, or smaller running backs can be like useful. And I have a cousin that said, "Yo, why can't we find a running back like late in the draft that's like Philip Lindsay?" And this is 2019 now, and I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, bro. We got this running back we drafted in the 7th. I don't know why he don't see the field that much. And this is 2019. He was a rookie. And I felt like, maybe they just saving the tread on his tires because, this first season, that was when we only won 5 games. You know what I'm saying? So when you came on the scene, bro, in 2020 and showed up like that, bro, like, what was it for you to like, you had to wait to really get your turn, and you came on the scene, everybody thought Jordan Howard was going to be the back. We traded for Matt Breida, but then you took RB1 spot. What was that like? What was that process?
It was cool, but I feel like my first year, I just learned a lot, just not playing a lot at all. I didn't think I played until my 8th game, and just through those 8 games in camp, I was just able to take a step back and just work on my body, try and work as a pro, and just, you know what I'm saying, not having to play the game each and every week. I was able to focus on myself a lot more. I was able to focus on the game plan, but I was sitting up in the stands, you feel me? So, and then when my time came at the end of the season, I played well. And then coming in the next year, I feel like I knew I had a better grasp on what I needed to work on, all the things, and how I wanted to work, like being a professional. And I feel like that was my next step. And I feel like that's what kind of propelled me into the 2020 season. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I've noticed that Coach Flores and Coach Studfield have said that, you've improved as a receiver. Is that something you really worked on over the past 2 years in the pros, or is that something which you just feel is natural to you, I guess?
I feel like that's always been natural to me. I just feel like I ain't never really got a chance to. Like in Little League, I ain't never get the ball thrown to me. I felt like I always could catch the ball. In high school, college, never really got it like that. Got a couple swing routes and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. So I'm glad I got the opportunity here to show what I could do.
Bro, hey, it's funny that you said it like that, because being undersized, right? I'm pretty sure you had all kind of naysayers coming up. My one question is, who did you look up to, like as who were your favorite football players growing up?
Probably LT, Reggie Bush, of course. Ain't nobody ever gonna say not Reggie Bush, but those 2 guys for real. And then I always just kind of play football with older dudes. Like when I had an older brother, so I always play football with older dudes. I feel like that's what kind of like helped me get better when I was younger. You know what I'm saying?
You from Washington, right?
Yeah.
What was it like to get adjusted with the the heat and the humidity in Florida? And what did it take you long to get used to Miami? I don't know if it take long for anyone to get used to Miami, but what was it like to get acclimated to Miami?
I'm still not acclimated to Miami, man. I'll be sweating all the time. I don't even know how y'all live like this. Y'all got lizards everywhere. But I love it down here, though. For real. Like, it's just like, coming from Washington, ain't nothing like Washington out here. Like, it's the total opposite, you know what I'm saying? As far away from home as possible. I love it out here, but shoot, I couldn't imagine growing up out here. It's so hot.
Do you know what?
Hey, Kadeem, he said we got lizards. Bro, we got real deal iguanas down here, man.
Listen, if you think Washington's bad, try London. Like, London is cold 24/7. Like, it's May and it's like hailstones, raining 24/7. And I know, obviously, you guys were meant to be in London last year. Is that something as a player you actually want to do, travel to London, or are you finding Miami, Washington, Las Vegas, all that kind of stuff?
I'd like to travel to London if we could play a game. I feel like it'd be cool playing like out there, kind of like I ain't never really left the country, so I feel like I'd be like wide-eyed, you know what I'm saying, trying to see things and stuff like that. Because I feel like we'd probably stay down there for like a week or so or 2 weeks or so we'd be able to like sightsee and practice. So I feel like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so in 2017, this is actually how me and Kadeem met. The Dolphins went over to London. We played against the Saints. I came across Kadeem. Kadeem happened to be a huge Dolphin fan. Obviously, I traveled across the pond to catch the Dolphins. And thus, that's how this podcast got started. Lo and behold, we get RB1 Myles Gaskin on the show, man. So check this out. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes to go, down 6. We're in Vegas, bro. And Fitz told you, Fitz told you this pass, bro, and you go for 60 to the house. And you came off an injury, reminding everybody, like, yo, all gas, no brakes. So you get in the box. It's 3 minutes left, bro. Can you describe what that felt like in a game that had everything in it? And secondly, what was the locker room like afterwards?
Man, it was crazy. Like, the play in itself, like, it was crazy because I caught 2 blocks. Like, people kind of sleep on the blocks that I caught. And I seen them happen, and I was like, damn, like, this is going to look good, you know what I'm saying? But in the locker room, I feel like that game was the craziest game I ever played in my life. Because that throw that Fitz made to Matt, I ain't never seen nothing like it, man. My man was looking the other way, threw it to him, threw him a dime on the sideline to put us in field position and win the game. But that was crazy. And it was like we was going on the road. We was trying to make that playoff berth. We was trying to go to the playoffs, and that was a big game we needed to win. So, like, that was huge. So, I mean, like, you know, riding on the way back from Oakland, man, we was lit.
I ain't gonna tell you, bro. Like, that game had, like, everybody had anxiety issues after that game. Like, for real. And I remember I had to kill the biggest spider of my life during that game. Like, yo, I would never forget that game, bro. You really don't understand, for real.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously, being in London, I think that game finished at about 4:30 in the morning. I had work the next day, and like my plan was to watch like maybe the first half, go to sleep, catch the rest of it in the morning. But because it was so back and forth, and I'm pretty sure I messaged Charlie like when the game ended, and Charlie was like, "Why aren't you sleeping?" But I couldn't sleep. It's like 5 a.m. My adrenaline's running high, and yeah, you kept me up that night. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Man, Fizz Magic, man, kept you up. That's the one right there.
Hey, I got a question, bro. You know, the single-digit rule came back this year, and used to rock that 9 pretty hard. That Rondo, you know what I'm saying, or the whatever you want to call it, the Romo. Yeah. You feel me? Did you consider going back to it?
Nah, I ain't really want 9. I felt like I wore it. That was my college number. You feel me? But I was open to probably changing out. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what opens up. I know everybody changed, so it's still early in the year. So we'll see if some numbers open up. You know, but it probably ain't gonna be 9.
Yeah, fair play. You mentioned Fitz. What was it like having him in the locker room? And then kind of that transition to Tua. Is it something which, I don't know, like Fitz was so beloved, but I also feel like everyone kind of got behind Tua when he came in. Was it something just a matter of next guy up and we kind of keep moving?
Yeah, it was like that, for sure. I mean, everybody play football. It's the league now. Like, whoever's in there is gonna be running the show as the quarterback, as the guy with the headphones and stuff like that. But having Fitz was great. I mean, just kind of watching just the old vet that's been on a lot of teams, that's seen a lot of different offenses, just kind of show you how to play the game in like a relaxed state. Like, at the end of the day, it's the game we played since we was 6, 7 years old. You know what I'm saying? And like, sometimes you forget that. And when playing with him, I felt like he kind of reminded dudes in the huddle, especially in those big type games. And I think he gave that kind of feel or showed Tua, or maybe Tua already had it, because I ain't have Tua before Fitz. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been around him. But I feel like Tua picked up on a lot of things from him. And I'm excited for Tua. I think Tua's got a lot. I know Tua got a lot to him. He studies the game. He's excited for the game. I like dudes that's excited for the game. So I'm excited what he'll bring to the table this year. I mean, he's always been a baller since day one. So,
but you got me excited. I feel like I want to suit up, bro. Like, I'm like, yo, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, last question though, man. Last question. Coming from so I make music. You know what I'm saying? I might have missed that to you. I don't know if I did or not. But I make music. The name of the show is called Go Time Dolphins. I actually just got a single out called Go Time. And it's a little workout song. What do you
Okay.
pregame to? What do you pregame to?
Man, probably some old Wayne, probably some Carter 2 Wayne. I'll put the Carter 2 on, let some like songs play, Lil Durk. Shoot. Probably Wayne. Probably just Wayne for most part. It matters what we playing at from time to time. I'll play some Pac play. But if you looking at my phone, it's probably gonna be some Wayne.
You got something, Kadeem?
Yeah, just your last one for me. Is there any game on the schedule which you look out for, or is it just a matter of you've got to play 17 games, they fall when they fall, it is what it is?
I'll probably say just what game? I'll probably say Buffalo. I don't think we ain't beat Buffalo. They really good. They came off a great season and they in our division. But at the end of the day, it's every single game. I get excited for every single game, but definitely the teams you get to play twice, you get a little bit more amped for. But yeah, I'm excited to play every single game this year. That's probably the biggest thing missing. Like what I missed 6 games last year. I'm excited to be able to. God willing, be able to play all them games, play all 17 games this year. So you know what I'm saying. So I'm just excited to take one game at a time. But it's really these OTAs and camp and all that stuff. So you know what I'm saying. We skip a few steps, but yeah.
Hey, MG, listen. Like you came on the show, you validated my credibility. I've been trying to tell people. You know what I'm saying. I know people thought I was lying out here in these streets, man. I just want to tell you again, we appreciate you coming on the Go Time Dolphins. You know what, matter of fact, I'm gonna hit you up a little later. I'll drop you the link to the song. And maybe, hey, since you welcome to Florida, you gotta come fishing with us, man. We go out in the boat, come fishing with us. For real, man. You got an open invitation. But check this out, man. Ladies and gentlemen, 40 acres and a Hellcat, the epitome of a Miami Dolphins, Myles Gaskin.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all having me.
Appreciate
no
that,
doubt,
man.
bro.
Thank you.
The Miami
I'm hit you,
Dolphins
bro.
podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.